Watch how this one came together pretty quickly and listen in on tips to keep your Instagram account from getting hacked, plus so much more. Okay, let's get started. Hello and welcome. This is Betty with Betty Frank's Art. Thank you for being here today. I am unwrapping a 48 by 48 inch canvas that I will be showing you how I put together. So this is actually last year. I found a number of videos. Here we go, 48 by 48. So I found a number of videos that I didn't realize I had recorded, and I am now getting them together. So this is why I'm wearing a tank top, and it's right now the time of recording is mid-April 2022, and although I'm in California and the weather is pretty nice here, it's not quite that nice yet. Although it was last weekend, it got pretty warm, but we cooled off again this week. Okay, I started off with mark making. I love starting with mark making. Sometimes I get questions, why do I do all of this mark making, scribbling mess at the beginning when none of it shows at the end? Well, not everything I do shows, but it's part of my process. It is my way of connecting with the canvas, of loosening up, of getting my arms, my body into full motion of creating art. So there's no other rhyme or reason behind it. It will not show up at the end, and I'm perfectly fine with that. If you've been around for a while, then you know I go through a number of different layers as I work through my canvases, and many of those layers folks don't see. What I'm doing here is I've got black paint, and now I'm going to mix in a number of different colors. So there's some green there, and I think I'm going to grab a couple of more colors. And what I'm doing is, wow, and I'm surprised I put that color in. I think I'm going to close it and shake it up and see what I get. But the reason I'm doing this is because I like to kind of deepen that black color so that it's not just a flat black, but it's got a little bit more depth and interest to it. Now, you're not really going to see that from this distance, but if I was to put just plain black right next to it so that you can compare the two, then you would be able to see the depth of this black. Again, one of those things that a person would not normally know about, but to me, I find that it's important, and I like doing that in my artwork. That was a spray bottle with just some water in it. I like to get those drips going. I have a love for drips. It's one of those things that you can't really control, and I try to include some of that in my artwork, those things that don't look like they're controlled, or I just simply don't have any control over them. All right, so I think we're done with that, and set that aside. Now, the other thing I like to do is, so I've got a bunch of black on this brush, and I'm going to, instead of just washing it out right away, I'm going to clean it up a little bit, and then I'm going to dip into white. And in this case, it looks like I'm using gesso. I have switched over to using titanium white more often, but in that bottle over there, I believe I still have gesso in it, unless I put titanium white into that gesso bottle so that I can squirt it out. Honestly, it was such a long time ago. Again, this recording was last August is when I recorded this, August or early September. So I'm not sure what was in that bottle. Here I'm using a scraper to just add some texture by scraping into the wet paint. And that starts building up some texture. I have a love for texture in addition to having all those layers that we're going to be building up. Now, I am going to say that this particular painting went fairly quickly, and I don't know why that is. It was just one of those days where, sometimes they take me a long time, hours and hours to get through, but other paintings just seem to come together a bit more quickly. Now, that's not to say that I haven't put in many, many hours of creating, practicing, exploring, trying different things. And when you do that, you'll find that on occasion, a piece will come together quickly. I'm going to start here with warm colors. I like to start either with warm or cool colors. And the main reason I do that is I find that if I keep my warms and my cools separated, that I don't create mud unless I really want mud, and then I can mix them together. But to keep my colors bright and vibrant, I prefer to just stick to the color families and work with them and allow that to dry before I move on to the next color. Not sure where I went there. So I've got some that this is a red that I'm taking directly out of the jar, and I prefer it directly out of the jar. I don't really mix my reds all that much. The paints that I'm using are acrylic paints. They are by Nova Color, and I am super excited to announce, and I think I announced it in my last video too, is that I have partnered up with Nova and created a curated bundle of paints that I love to use, and there are 15 paints in that collection. And the reason I did that is because I was getting so many folks asking me what colors should they pick because Nova's got a lot of colors to choose from, and I know it can be a little overwhelming when you get there and you can't quite decide, well, which ones should I try? And so I had created a list and I had it on my website for, I'd say, well over a year. And Nova was also getting requests from folks saying, well, what does Betty order? So we have finally partnered up and we created Betty's Bundle. It's available on their website, but I'm going to include the link down below for you, or just message me if you want the link sent to you directly, and I'm happy to send that over to you. So like I said, it's 15 colors of the ones that I use most often, and they are in the 4-ounce jars, which are the jars that I always talk about, the smaller ones. I don't think I see any on my table right there. Those are all quart and pint size that I'm looking at, but they're a bit smaller, and it's the size that I like to use when I am trying out new colors. So you've got 15 of them in the 4-ounce jars, everything from the reds, the blues, greens, black, white. It's all in there. So when my jars get stuck like that, I just smack them on the sides a little bit, and that loosens it up so that I can seal it up, or so that I can undo it or take off the lid. And then I did try to wipe up that edge a little bit, but I'm really bad about that. I'm not good about being neat and clean because I like to move through my process and not stop and do any cleanup. There I kind of got into some of that black paint that wasn't quite dry yet. So my pink is not quite so pink anymore, but that's okay. I'm just mixing it anyway as I go. So going back to the Nova Color paints, uh, again, I'll have a link down below for you, or just leave me a message. But also leave me a message if you already bought them and what you think about them. I know some folks have already messaged me, and I'm always so happy to hear that they are enjoying the colors, that they love the colors, but also that they love the paint itself. And one person in particular messaged me, and she was like, wow, such a game changer, she said. She can't believe that she had been using I think she was using Liquitex basic colors, and she said the difference was unbelievable and that it really changed her ability to create art the way she wanted to. So I always love hearing those kinds of stories. All right, here I've got a scraper and I am just simply blending all the colors, something I normally don't do. So here I'm doing something that I normally don't do, trying something a little bit different. And I'm just coming in and offloading my brush a bit. It's good to, shake things up a little bit and try different things. And that's exactly what I was doing here. And maybe that's the reason why I was able to get through this one a bit faster. Who knows? But always fun to try something new. So I'm switching colors somewhat. Now it looks like I'm still staying in the warm colors. So yellow works both for warm or cool colors. Yep, I've got the yellow now. And because it is warm in my studio, the paint is drying fairly quickly. And especially since I had spread it out with that scraper, that I was able to come in now very quickly with some yellow. I think I've got my fan running at the same time too. So that's definitely making it dry a bit faster. I'm lucky here in California because it is not very humid, so my paints don't dry out fast, but yet my paintings dry fast enough so that I can move through the process quickly. I did speed up this video just so we can get through it in less than an hour, and I think I've got it at double time, so working twice as fast here. Now I'm looking at elements of my composition, and you can see those big orange um, pieces that I just put on there. Those are much larger than some of the other pieces that I've got on there, the marks that I'm making, I should say. And if you're not familiar with my artwork, I am inspired by my love for fields of flowers. And so the orange represents flowers in some form or fashion in my abstracted way. And all of these are representing my love for flowers, parts of the flower, flowers that I see in a field, flowers up close, further apart, or I should say further away. Now here I'm using a rigger, which is like a script brush. It's got long bristles on it, and I love it for making smaller marks or finer marks. So early on here, I'm already thinking about a variety of mark making. And I think that's so important that I always remember to do that because it's key in creating a piece of art that has a lot of interest to it. I've also got some other links down below underneath the video, and those are for like my favorite art supplies. You can also see where I'm showing my larger pieces of art, where they are available for purchase, and several other links as well. If you're not able to find them, I am going to include them in the first comment underneath the video so that it's a little bit easier to find. If you are watching this from a different country, or if you just simply speak a different language and English is not your first language, one thing that you can do is underneath this video, on the right side underneath, there's a round circle that's a gear. It's a gear icon. And that icon, if you click on it, you can turn on subtitles, and then you can turn on subtitles in your language. So you'll see those options there. And then you'll want to turn off the audio so that you're not hearing me talk and you can just read what I am saying in your own language. You can also slow down the video if you want to do that, in which case I always recommend turn off the audio because I do sound a bit funny when I'm slurring and slowing down my words. I've come in here with a lighter value, so I'm already looking at values. I've added a lot of white to whatever color I had in that bowl that I'm holding. Now, it's interesting as I watch this. I usually like to use my table as my palette, but there are some times when I just like to put the color in a bowl and use it that way. And then it just makes me think, well, did I get through the painting faster because I did it that way? Something to contemplate and think about. Usually when I get to the end of this video or videos like this, I always want to talk about how I varnish my art, but then I run out of time. So I'm going to talk about it early on, and I'm also going to include a link here so that you can easily get to my video on varnishing your artwork. Now, the video I have available is me varnishing my art on paper, but I use the same process for my canvas art and my wood art. And one thing that's really important in my step, and I talk about that in the video, is using a spray varnish first or a fixative. Lately, I've been using fixative by Krylon. The reason I do that is at the end, I have mark making that I do on the final step or the final layer of this, and I don't want those to smear when I put the Liquitex varnish on it, which is a liquid varnish. So it's really important that I seal those marks, and the fixative spray or just using a varnish spray is going to seal them. Now, one thing with that is you need to take it outside because the spray is very toxic smelling, so you wanna be outside when you're doing that spraying. So I usually take this outside, spray it, leave it out there for like 15 minutes so it can air out a bit, and then I bring it in to do my Liquitex varnish on top of it. Just getting rid of some of that paint, being really loose because I know I'm in my early stages and I don't have to worry too much about where this paint is going. That's what I love about those earlier stages. And getting some more drips going there. And I think that's because I'm pretty much done here, so I'm gonna do those final drips and let that dry. It looks like it's already coming together. I'm kinda liking it at this stage too, but I certainly did continue on with it. I'm looking at it on my phone. So last time I talked about this in my other videos, I could never remember what the end result looks like. Okay, here I've got this is my art book. And if you're interested in my art book, I'll include a link down below. This is from 2017, one of my very earliest pieces before I even knew that that's what I was inspired by. So I'm kind of pointing out some things that I really like about it. Now, am I gonna duplicate that? No, because I can't duplicate it, but I'm using it as an inspiration, and I just refer to it several times while I'm painting just to inspire me to move forward, I guess, and to, have some ideas about what I wanna do. So I am back, and let's see what I'm doing there. I think my Alright, so I've got a gray that I'm working with now. And okay, so I mentioned I will include a link down below for the art book. Coming in with some neutral colors. I love gray as my neutral. Now, I think I've got a little bit of whatever color I had in that bowl, so kind of a yellow or orangey color, mixing in with my gray, and that helps harmonize those colors. Now you can see I'm kind of saving some marks and covering up others. And if I put down enough marks in my early stages, then I've got more choices as I start covering up areas. And I think that's so key. And I talk a lot about that when I'm teaching workshops is you've got to make a whole lot of marks in the beginning and they don't make any sense and they're just kind of crazy marks, marks on top of marks. But that really helps as you go through it. For me, it helps me tremendously because now I can pick and choose what I want to keep and what I want to cover up. My art book that I created a couple of years ago has all of my paintings from I've got just a few in there from 2017, which is before I really knew that I had this love for fields of flowers and that's what I was creating. So it's interesting when I looked back to 2017, there was only a few paintings that were very similar or somewhat similar to the way I'm painting now. So the book is from 2017 to I think I want to say 2019 maybe or 20 yeah, something like that or 2020 possibly. And the book is a great for me, I love it because I when I'm feeling a bit stuck just like I have those photos whoops, hello. Okay. Well, I'm not sure what just happened there. Sorry. It looks like I had a short little video jump in where it wasn't supposed to be, so I apologize for that. Learning how to do these videos, although I've been doing them for years, there's always something funny or funky that happens. Okay, so going back, I was talking about the the book, the art book. So I use it as a reference for myself because sometimes when I get stuck, I just flip through it and say, okay, what do I like about this piece? What are the elements in it that maybe I can add to the piece that I'm currently working on that I might be stuck on? So it helps me tremendously in that way. And I was referencing those photos over on the side. Those were printed at Costco just on regular, I don't know, printer paper, whatever. And I use those as a reference as well, just to say, okay, if I'm stuck, I can just look at these because I really like these pieces and I can see what did I do in these pieces that will help me get through the piece that I'm working on. Hope that makes sense. I love this mustard yellow. And you can see I've got the larger yellow down in that right-hand corner is cadmium medium yellow, and then I've got, and there I just dipped into the Indian yellow, but I also dipped into black there, so I'm kind of creating a dark green. I'm a total double dipper. I will dip my brush into all of my paints, and then I get some unique colors because there's paint left in there from the previous dipping. Did I mention I'm not very neat and organized when I'm creating? All right, so I've got a nice dark element here, and I think what I did is I came back in because a lot of my black in the beginning got covered up, and so I wanted to bring back that value, that darker value. Love those drips. Now the brushes that I'm working with, there's a variety of different sizes. In the very beginning, I had a much thicker brush when I was putting on that black, and now I've got a bit of a thinner brush. I find that even when I work on large canvases, this 48 by 48 inch, I still like to come in with some smaller brushes and get a lot of that detail in there. If I came in with a really large brush and just, swiped it across, it's gonna like cover up a lot of area. And I don't always want that. I want a lot of detail in there as well. So even though I'm working on a large canvas, I do like working with some smaller brushes. And here it looks like I switched out my brush again. Something that I try to remember to do on a regular basis. Feels like lately I've been forgetting to do that. So it's a nice reminder for me when I look at my older videos to remind myself that I need to regularly switch out my brushes. I like using round or filbert or what else is there? Flat. And then of course the script brush, the rigger, and that's in my favorite art supplies if you're interested in that. All right, coming back over this corner up here with yet another color, but yet leaving a little bit of that previous color showing through, and that's what creates that depth. I mentioned before that I did speed up this video, but I'll be honest with you, I still move pretty quickly through my paintings. I don't do a whole lot of, stepping back and thinking about it in these earlier stages. I will do that a little bit later on when I get closer to the end and I'm trying to make sure that it's working and I'm pulling it all together so that the entire piece is working. Like right now when I look at it, that lower middle section doesn't feel like it's done. It feels like it needs more work, but that upper corner in the left feels like it's done. So there are some areas that still need some work. And that's going to entail coming in and filling in, but also continuing my mark making on top of that as well. Now, one thing I've noticed, again, I mentioned that I am recording this in the middle of April 2022. Lately on social media, Instagram specifically, so many of my artist friends are getting their accounts hacked. And what I mean by that is somebody has taken over their account and they're trying to sell you Bitcoin or something else that they're trying to advertise, but they're trying to come across as if they are that artist who's now suddenly interested in Bitcoin. And it's just been heartbreaking seeing, like, my friend Pat Batinsky, 74,000 followers, and she's lost her account. It's breaking my heart. She's worked so hard to get all of those followers, and now somebody has taken over her account. I've been chatting with her. She just can't seem to get it back. She's continued to work with Instagram to try to get it back. But these people come in and they change the email address, they change all the information in there so that you can't get back in there. So the reason I bring this up is because if you are on Instagram and you're an artist with followers, please, please be sure that you are securing your information. I'm going to include a link down below. Let me make a note real quick at what time it is. We're at 27 minutes. I'm going to include a link to an article that I found on how to secure your Instagram account to make sure that you don't get hackers, getting into it. And so after I read this article, I immediately went to my account. So I double checked to make sure I had two-factor authentication turned on, which I did, which was great. You want to make sure you have that turned on. And this is all in your account section, but the article that I send you will walk you through the steps. And then the other thing, which I didn't know about this, so this was something new I learned, which is there's an area there. Okay, let me take a step back. Sometimes when you download an app, you are asked if you want to sign into that app using your Instagram credentials. I'm sure you've seen this before, or your Facebook credentials, or something else. Basically, what they're doing is they're saying, well, you're already logged into Instagram or you already have an account on Instagram. We'll make it easier for you. Just use your login information that you use for Instagram to get into our app. Okay, so you go, oh, okay, that makes it easy. I'll just do that. Well, don't do that. The reason for that is because if they being the hackers, hack into that account that you are now, that app that you are now signed into using your Instagram credentials, and they hack into that, now they've got your Instagram information and they can get into that and be able to change all that information and you'll never get into it again. So there in this article, it also gives you instructions on how to go and see if you have attached apps to your Instagram account. And I would recommend that you immediately remove them if you've done that and just create a login for that specific application. I know it's an extra step, it's extra work, but in the long run, losing all of your followers is a thousand times more work to try to get them back than it is to write down a login for yet one more application. So I went into mine and I discovered that I had none tied to my Instagram account. So I was super happy about that. I need to, now as I said that, I'm just thinking I need to do that for my Facebook account too, because I think that I have used Facebook to make it easy to log into something else. So I will be making a note to myself here right now to go in and check that later. So again, please, if you get a chance, read this article. There's just a few steps that you need to take to secure your account to make sure that nobody gets into it. Now, the other part of that, it's not just securing your account, but what's also happening is, and I just got an email this morning that was like, wow, this is a new hack that I knew immediately that it was. But folks are emailing you or they are messaging you on Messenger, making it look like it's your friend messaging you because they broke into their account. And what's happening is they're saying, "Oh, I need your help. Can you send me a screenshot of this? I'm going to send you this link and just sign up or just vote for me." This is a new one also, vote for me. And then you're supposed to send them the screenshot. Well, when you do that, apparently you're giving away some information. The email I got this morning, I couldn't believe it. It made it look like it was from Instagram. And they said, "Well, we're going to secure your account, but you need to take a picture of yourself holding up a piece of paper that has your login and your password on it." Oh my God. Please, people, don't fall for that. That is just, Instagram would never ask you to do that. So please be very careful. Okay. Hey, let's get back to this. I took a picture and that corner up there I didn't like. So I removed that and then I added those red marks. Notice the red in the lowerish middle area. So I did that on my phone. I made those marks on my phone so that I can figure out how to move forward on this piece. So that's what I'm going to do now. Taking what I did on my phone, I'm going to come in and make some changes to the artwork. And when I get stuck, I often do that. I take a picture and then I have this really basic photo editing tool on my phone. I have an Android phone. It came with it. I know you guys are going to ask me which one it is. It's just the photos section. If you've got an Android phone and if you click on your photos and you edit a photo, you have the option of using different marks and colors on that photo. But if you don't have an Android phone, that's okay. Whatever you have, just go to your app store and look for photo editing application, and any one of them will work. And what you're looking for is just the ability to make marks on your artwork so that you can figure out, what you want to cover up, what do you want to, what further things you want to do to it. So I discovered, that mark up in that upper corner, that circle just didn't work. It wasn't working with the rest of the piece. And then those red marks that I'm going to be making soon here, I felt like those few red marks that I had over on the left just didn't bring enough weight to that area and it needed a bit more. All right, so while I work through that, let me go back to talking about hackers and scammers and all that stuff. Folks, please, I'm begging you, please be extra careful. Even if you get a message from me that says, "Send me your password" or "Help me get back into my account," just know that I've been hacked and I would never ask you that. And none of your friends would be asking you that if they were truly your friend. If they were truly your friend, they'd probably get on the phone with you and tell you that you're having an issue. So don't fall for any of those. Be very careful when you get emails. All you have to do is click on the email that it came from. And if it looks funny, which usually there's like a bunch of numbers in it in some way or letters, or you can tell it's truly not from the business that you think it's from. Just look for that. It's easy to notice. Also, they don't always use proper English grammar, and so that's usually a giveaway too. I often notice that fairly quickly. This one that I got this morning was pretty well done, but towards the end, it wasn't. I can tell that there were some grammar issues. And there was one that I have to tell you, I got a couple of weeks ago, and I blurted out laughing because the grammar was so hysterical that it was so obvious. So, folks, please be careful and look for that link down below or just message me and I will be happy to share that link with you to the article that I found. All right, so see the weight now that we have in that middle section with the reds? I like that so much more. I think it balanced that piece a bit more. I've got those larger elements of orange up in that upper right corner, and now these reds kind of balance it. They're not the same shape and size. They're smaller, but there's more of them, if that makes sense. So we're coming kind of close to the end here. We've got a little bit more to do. I'd say we're about, oh, about 75% done. I think I was getting paint all over me there. So here, now you can see where I stand back and I am observing it a bit more because I'm working towards the end and I need to figure out what else it needs to, to be able to call it done. Right there, I was just offloading my brush. I like doing that. I like just leaving all kinds of marks all over the painting. These are marks that I don't come in and intentionally make. I'm just unloading the side of that brush. All right, so I think I'm calling it done for now. And okay, here we go. Come back. So this is what it looked like before. This is the mock-up I did, and this is how it looks. So before, my mock-up on my phone, and there it is in person. Okay, I am running my hands across the whole thing because I like to remove any pieces of paint that are really sticking out a lot. That kind of annoys me. I love texture, but not when it's balled up. And here I'm pointing to some bare spots that I want to add some paint to, but I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to do my final mark making first, and then I'll come in and clean up those sides a bit. Usually I am pretty good about checking my sides as I'm painting. However, like I said, this one came together pretty quickly and I probably wasn't paying as much attention. I'm starting off with a pencil here, just a regular #2 pencil. And those marks that I made at the top there, I do a bunch of scribbles and then I erase part of it, just so that line is not a continuous line. Here I'm doing some circles. And I do have close-ups at the end so that you can see all of these marks that I'm making. I totally understand it's very hard to see them from this distance. Here I've got a colored pencil, Prismacolor. Oh wait, is that a regular pencil? Now I can't see it from this distance. Maybe it's still my regular pencil. Okay, this is a Prismacolor pencil. It's my absolute favorite color. It's a teal color, and even if my painting doesn't have any teal in it, I always use this pencil to add just a little bit of my absolute favorite color. Here again, doing some scribbling. I think this is with a colored pencil this time, and then I'm going to erase parts of it. Sharpening. I've got a pencil sharpener, electric pencil sharpener, but what I've discovered is that electric pencil sharpener doesn't do a good job with my Prismacolor pencils because they're a little bit thicker or bigger than a normal pencil, and so it's really hard to get it in there so that it sharpens it for me. Doing a little outlining there and erasing back again. And back to doing some scribbles up in there. I even do scribbles at the top and erase that part, even though most likely this is not going to show. And I know it's not going to show because the person who purchased this, it was actually her husband that purchased it as a Christmas gift this past Christmas. And they sent me a picture of it, and it is going to go above their fireplace. So you know that top part isn't going to be seen, but for me, I am such a perfectionist when it comes to that that I want to continue the painting around all the edges, whether you can see that or not. I know that I did my best to continue that painting all the way around. If you are enjoying my videos and enjoying my artwork, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel so that you can see more videos, and also hit that thumbs up so that you can be notified when I release a new video. I've been trying to release them every 2 weeks, and I've been doing pretty well. Sometimes I delay it by a week, depending on how many things I've got going on. It takes a while to put these videos together. Not only do I have to remember to videotape when I am creating, and then also upload everything because there's like, I think for this particular video, there are I want to say 7 or 8 segments. So I've got to piece all those together. And as you saw, I accidentally pieced one in there that was at the end and I stuck it somewhere in the middle. So it takes me a while to pull these together, do the editing, and then do the voiceover, and then do a little bit more editing after that. And then the saving and the uploading takes a long time because I save these in a high resolution. So it takes hours for it to be saved and uploaded. This here is a white China marker. Another tool to create marks. Now, my last video, I asked if you guys wanted me to do a video on my mark making tools, and I am going to, that one broke. And I think I end up showing, oh, here we go. I'm going to show you how I peeled this. And I actually slowed down the video for you here. So if you tug downward, see how I'm turning it and I'm pulling down gently, and that is going to help get that peeled just right. There we go. I know a lot of folks have issues with the China markers and getting them peeled. And I did in the beginning too. I actually cut my thumb really bad because I used an X-Acto knife. Please don't use an X-Acto knife. There is a way to peel it so that it peels correctly. So what I was saying is in my last video, I asked if you guys wanted me to show you my mark making tools up close. So I am planning to create a video for that. And I hope to have that done in the next week or so. I did move my studio several weeks ago, and I'm still settling in and trying to get everything organized so that I can not only create, but I can also work on pieces that I can upload here. All right, I'm signing this. I'm calling it done. Signature is on. I'd like to sign in pencil. Again, I use a spray varnish, so my signature gets spray varnish on it so that it doesn't smear. I'm cleaning up the edges, and what I love about the edges and just my style of painting that makes it easy is I can just easily add colors in here and they blend well together with everything else. So I'm just adding directly out of the jar. And I think this is kind of like a quinacridone red, I want to say. Hard to tell from this distance. So I'm going to do this all the way around the piece. So it's interesting being in my new studio. I'm really trying to get settled in and I'm feeling unsettled because everything is in a new place. Everything is not fully organized, and it's just hard to concentrate on creating when you're constantly getting up and trying to figure out where something is that you need. So I have a little bit more to do in terms of getting settled in. But I do have my video camera set up and I've been I just created a Concerta art journal. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with that. They're accordion art journals. That's the other word for it. And I am doing a video on that. So I hope to have that soon too. Okay, calling it done. I love this piece. So again, the day after yesterday? No, the day before yesterday is what I titled it. And here's some close-ups. Oh, I'm sorry. The day after yesterday is what I titled it. I love the close-ups. I love it from a distance as well, but there's just so much more yumminess up close. So I'm going to pull it away from the wall just so you can see that the sides are all painted. You can see that white is the China marker that I added at the very end there. I so appreciate you watching my videos and following me here on YouTube. And as talked about earlier, I am on Instagram and I'm on Facebook as well if you want to hang out with me there. Now, one last thing I'll talk to you about is joining my email list. And the link is going to be down below, or just message me and I will send you the link. Folks on my email list get first notification of my art workshops. I'm doing one in May for the month of May, and it's going to be online. And then I'm going to be doing one in June that's going to be in person. So those folks are going to get first dibs of signing up, and also I usually offer a discount. So here's a view of my room. Not a whole lot going on here because I think I delivered a bunch of my art to the galleries, so all my larger pieces were at the galleries. And there's my book again. And this is my old studio. I do have a new studio space, so you'll be seeing more of that later in my future videos. Okay, so there it is. That's what it looks like. It's got a room setting there, and I've got some close-ups for you of just the pictures. So the email list, again, you'll be notified of cool stuff that's going on, but I'll also share other adventures with you. And I send out an email maybe once every 2 weeks, sometimes a little bit more if I've got a workshop coming up or something like that. And you are always welcome to unsubscribe. I have no hard feelings about people unsubscribing. I totally understand that. I also unsubscribe to things that I no longer find value in. So I am okay with that. Look at all these yummy details here. There I am, super happy with this piece, super happy that it found a home in Chicago. You can watch more videos here. You can also subscribe, and remember, give me a thumbs up, and I am so looking forward to seeing you again in another video. Wishing you a super fabulous and creative day. Take care.